Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you some of the books that I've picked up in the last couple months. So it's a pretty decent size book haul, I would say. Nothing like outrageous by any means, but you know, kind of gotta reel it in a little bit since I have all these books behind me, plus there's books over here to my right. And to be quite fair, I'm running out of room. I've had to decide books to take off of my shelf and sit on the floor. So yeah, gotta figure out more on that front, but you know, by all means, with, in time, you know. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first book that I'd like to show off is book 2 in the Usurper series by Aaron M. Evans, and that is Relics of Ruin. So the first book in this is called Empire of Exiles, and that one was actually really good. So this is like a fantasy mystery type of story, and in the first one, you've got kind of this like archives and this land about it. So like there's a map. So like there's a huge territory or whatever. But this land, if I remember correctly, it's like blocked off by some wall. Here we go. By the salt wall. And so inside of this salt wall, everybody is peaceful, basically. They're protected from the creatures that live on the other side of the salt wall. I guess there was like some like coup or whatever, and you learn more about the coup in the first book. And like go through the mystery and figure out that at the end. But what I'm like really intrigued by is how she's going to increase the stakes in book 2. Not saying, because it didn't, like, book 1 left you with questions, but it didn't leave you with like a cliffhanger, you know, that would spur you in to book 2. So I'm not going to read the synopsis of this one to you guys, just because it is the second book in a series. But the first book was super good. I really enjoyed the mystery. I really enjoyed learning about the world and about the people that are inside the world. And these people, they're definitely fantasy wise people. You've got, I think, like, I don't think anybody's like necessarily human. But the descriptions of all the different people are really like intriguing. So I can't wait to finally pick this one up. And to be quite honest, I might have to read the first one again, just because I am forgetting what was going on in the first one. So it might be a marathon read for me in the near future. The next book is also the second in a series. This is the sequel to Chaos and Flame. It is Blood and Fury by Tessa Grayton and Justina Ireland. So the first book, I really did like the first book. This is supposed to be pegged as a fantasy romance. The romance for me really wasn't like hitting. So I'm kind of hoping that the romance picks up in book 2. But I really did enjoy the fantasy plot line to Chaos and Flame. So basically there's these houses at war. And there's, I believe, 4 or 5 houses. And the main house, I forget what the main house is. And in this one, it doesn't look like they're showing me, because in the first book, it shows me like what house? But I guess not. I guess there's not a house. They're not showing me a house. Oh well. But there's this eccentric king who he can see things, and how he sees things he draws. And then you've got his brother who is basically a warrior, and he helps basically everything. And they're trying to take over their continent. But then this girl comes into play. The girl's name is Darling. And she was an orphan. You find out like more about her and more about her house and more about the creatures and the lore and everything in like closer to the end of book 1. It's throughout book 1, but it's really compelling, the story itself. So I'm really hoping that the romance picks up, and the romance is like, obviously you know this when you read the synopsis of the first one, but the romance is between Darling and Talon. So that though, it wasn't really hitting me, so I'm hoping it hits me in book 2, because I'm not sure if the romance, I don't know. I might continue to read on in this series if the plot line is still really good. I could get through the plot line without like liking the romance, but I'm really hoping I like the romance in this one. But the cover to this one is super pretty. It matches my other cover with this one, which is on the top shelf of my bookshelf. But I love this cover more because partly blue is my favorite color, especially this blue. And then to have the phoenix and the dragon on here is just super nice. And it all goes like through the back. So can't wait to pick this one up. The next one I got is The Ministry of Time by Colleen Bradley. I've heard, like, this is a sci-fi book. I've heard some really, really good things about this, so I thought I would pick it up. So I'm going to read you the synopsis of this, and you can decide for yourself if you would like to pick it up as well. In the near future, a civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams to work on a top secret project. A recently established government ministry is gathering expats from across history to establish whether time travel is feasible for the human body, but also for the fabric of space-time. She is tasked with working as a bridge, living with, assisting, and monitoring the expat known as 1847, or Commander Graham Gore. As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on Sir John Franklin's doomed 1845 expedition to the Arctic. So he's a little disoriented to be living with an unmarried woman who regularly shows her calves, surrounded by outlandish concepts such as washing machines, Spotify, and the collapse of the British Empire. But with an appetite for discovery, a 7-day cigarette habit, and the support of a charming and chaotic cast of fellow expats, he soon adjusts. Over the next year, what begins as an excruciatingly uncomfortable housemate dynamic evolves into something much deeper. By the time the true shape of the ministry's project comes to light, the bridge has fallen haphazardly, fervently in love with consequences she never could have imagined. Forced to confront the choices that brought them together, the bridge must finally reckon with whether what she does next can change the future. So, like, I don't know. This just sounds super compelling to me. I mean, you've got old history, new technology, sci-fi-ish, mixed in with a little bit of romance. So, and like a religious plot kind of scheme as well. So I'm super excited to pick this one up. This will be the first book that I read by Bradley. So hopefully I really like it, and if so, I'll be picking more up by her. The next book is, of course, an Ali Hazelwood book. This is her newest release called Not in Love. So Ali Hazelwood, she normally writes contemporary romance. She wrote her first paranormal romance that came out earlier this year called Bride, which I have already read, and I gave my thoughts on that one. But this one, I'm really excited about this. So this is kind of like an enemies to lovers romance. I believe it has something to do with like business, and this guy comes in to take the business in like a merger or an acquisition or something. But like they also just go ahead and dive into what they want. It's an enemies to lovers, but also a forbidden love-esque type of theme. Because, you know, like this guy, he's supposed to be her boss, but they have to wait until like the acquisition happens, I guess. So they're like, oh, we have time or something like that. But I'm really intrigued by this, and I just love Ali Hazelwood's writing. She's not complex, very simple, and so that's what I like, especially since I read lots of heavy plotted fantasy. So having a nice little break in a contemporary romance novelist that I truly enjoy. The next one I picked up, and normally it's not something that I dive into. I like literary fiction or historical literary fiction, but it's not something that I truly read all the time. But this one really like struck my interest, and it's called The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. So this one is about two friends, and one of them is from a wealthy background, her family ends up having to basically loses their fortune, and she has to dive into more of the poverty realm and figure that out. Well, she meets a friend, and she does everything with this friend. They're super close-knit. Well, then an opportunity arises where her and her family can go back to being privileged. So she goes back into that world, and she doesn't get to see her friend. Years later, they reconnect, and it's about that story of these women. So it really intrigued me just to kind of see, and it's not a long book, it's pretty short, so I thought this would be something nice to break up my usual reading that I do. Something short, something like heart-wrenching a little bit. So I'm excited to pick this up and see how the story plays out. So the next few books I'm going to show off I got from The Broken Binding, which is a store in the UK, but they also have a subscription service where they have special editions. And so I think I showed you this a while ago, but it is The Bones Season by Samantha Shannon, and I got the first one, which is the Bones Season special edition. But they are doing the whole series. So the second book has been done, and so I got that one, The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. I mean, look at this cover. So the cover, I believe they're doing, first off, I think they're doing a reprint anyway, and these are the reprinted covers. But the book itself, from The Broken Binding, has these beautifully artistic sprayed edges. And I mean, look at that. It just matches so well with the cover. And then, like the book itself, the hardcover. Oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And you've got these beautiful end pages here. So I am super excited to have been able to pick these up. I've heard phenomenal things about the Bone season, so I'm probably going to start reading these here soon. I have the first and the second one now. I don't know, I might wait until the third one comes out from Broken Bindings so that way I can have them, because I'm probably going to want to read them in tandem. I don't know. It'll probably be another year until the third one comes out. But I'm super excited to have these on my shelf. They are absolutely gorgeous. And so the next ones I got, and this is partly through, I get one a month from the Broken Binding in my subscription service. But this month, or these last 3 months in Q2, was The Lies of Loch Lamora. So I have all 3 books now, and I'll just show you off. Most of you guys who probably are watching my channel know what The Lies of Loch Lamora are. I've heard phenomenal things about this series. I think the author might be coming out with a 4th one here soon. So I'm really hoping that the Broken Binding does a special edition for the 4th one as well, so I can have the whole set on my shelf. It has not been confirmed yet, but there is a rumor going around because The Lies of Loch Lamora are also getting a reprint as well. And I had that actually pre-ordered until I found out that this was going to be my subscription for Q2. So I decided to cancel that pre-order, and since I was getting these. But I love the cover to this, and then the sprayed edges, and I'll show you. So this is the front of the hardcover. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And then you also have the inside pages. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I am super, super happy how these turned out. But this is book 1, Lies of Loch Lamora. And then you have Red Seas Under the Skies, which is number 2. And those are the sprayed edges for that one. I want to say, yeah, so all of the hard copies look exactly the same, like that. But then you have, you know, the different end pages and everything. So then this is the 3rd one as well, the Republic of Thieves. And this one is huge. Like, I didn't realize how big they are. And then, like, the blue sprayed edges. So, like, I could not have been happier with receiving these. I'm super excited, too, because now it shows that I have The Lies of Loch Lamora on my shelf. And I need to read them because I've heard phenomenal things about that series. So I'm definitely going to have to read that here very, very soon. A couple other ones that I got from Book of the Month. So this one is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I believe this is a romance. I'll just go ahead and read you the synopsis for this one. Anna Green thought she was marrying Liam Weston for access to subsidized family housing while at UCLA. She also thought she'd signed divorce papers when the graduation caps were tossed, and they both went on their merry ways. 3 years later, Anna is a starving artist living paycheck to paycheck, while Liam is a Stanford professor. He may be one of 4 heirs to the Weston Foods conglomerate, but he has little interest in working for the heartless corporation his family built from the ground up. He is interested, however, in his $100 million inheritance. There's just one catch. Due to an antiquated clause in his grandfather's will, Liam can't claim the money until he's been happily married for 5 years. Just when Liam thinks he's in the home stretch, pressure mounts from his family to see this mysterious spouse. He has no choice but to turn to the one person he's afraid to introduce to his 1% parents, his unpolished, not-so ex-wife. But in the presence of his family, Liam's fears quickly shift from whether the feisty, foul-mouthed, paint-splattered Anna can play the part to whether the toxic world of wealth will corrupt someone as pure of heart as his surprisingly grounded and supportive wife. Liam will have to ask himself if the price tag on his flimsy cover story is worth losing true love that sprouted from a lie. So I'm actually really intrigued with this romance plot. I haven't read a lot of like the fake wife, I guess you could say, or real wife, but not really real wife trope. So I'm very intrigued to read this. I haven't read anything by Christina Lauren. I think I have some more on my shelf from her. I just haven't gotten to her yet. So I'm hoping that I can read this soon. And then if so, I'll probably dive into more of her books. But this sounds super good. And the cover is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So Book of the Month also did this new thing, which I thought was really interesting. They decided to put their own issue out of short stories by different authors. So it's called Volume 0, Issue None, which is really funny. But it's got 7 short stories in here, and they're all by different authors. So you've got Juliet Escoria, Mary Jones, Lena Valencia, Paloma Gosh, Christina Vines, Jean Walk, and Abby Jenny. So I got it because I was intrigued to read some like short stories, and I mean it's very, very thin, so you could get it done fairly quickly. But I'm super excited that I got this to try it out. I don't know if you can buy this off of Book of the Month or if it was just a special that you could get during one of their months. So check it out if you can. But yeah, no, I like how they did this too. It's like a type of interesting paper on how they like bound this. It's not hardcover, but it's a hard-ish paper. I don't know. I like it. I think it's kind of cool. Plus, green. Why not? So I've got 3 books left. 2 of them I got as pre-orders, and this one that I'm holding right now, it's super, super high up on my TBR. So I will be reading this after I finish my reread of ACOTAR. But I'm like super excited to pick this up. I don't know. Plus, it's absolutely gorgeous. And that is The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lindy. This, oh my gosh. So there's the sprayed edges. I don't even know. I think oh yeah. Look at the hardcover. I mean, come on. The hardcover in itself is gorgeous. Like, I don't even need the dust jacket. But I'm super, super excited to pick this up. This is basically, it's a fantasy romance. It's more of an urban fantasy. But I mean, it's got a library. It's got monsters. It's got magic. Like, what else do you need with this? So I'm super excited to pick this up. I cannot wait. And it is definitely the next one I will be reading after I get done with my ACOTAR reread. So yes, this, I just cannot wait. If you've read it, please let me know in the comments below how you liked it. Because I'm super stoked to read this. Super, super stoked. The next one I got is called Heaven Breaker by Sarah Wolf. And this is I believe it's a fantasy sci-fi romance, I think. But I mean, the sprayed edges, I mean, that's a face. That's a person. So like this is just, I just can't even, like it's so awesome and I love it. And the inside is just gorgeous. The outside is gorgeous. I don't even know. So I'm going to read you the synopsis. The Duke of the powerful house Haute-Claire is the first to die, with my dagger in his back. He didn't see it coming, didn't anticipate the bastard daughter who was supposed to die with her mother, on his order. He should have left us with the rest of the station's starving commoner rubbish. Now there's nothing left, just icy white rage and a need to make House Haute-Claire pay, every damn one of them, even if it means riding Heavenbreaker, one of the few enormous machines left over from the war, and jousting against the fiercest nobles in the system. Each win means another one of my enemies dies, and here in the cold terror of space, the machine and I move as one, intent on destroying each adversary, even if it's someone I care about, even if it's someone I'm falling for. Only I'm not alone, not anymore. Because there's something in the machine with me, something horrifying, something more, and it won't be stopped. So this really intrigues me. I'm very intrigued to read this. I just don't know what else to say about it other than like, this has moved up in my TBR as well. It's so freaking good. The synopsis, can't wait. So I lied, I have 2 more. I actually just pre-ordered all of these and I got the first one. I think the second one actually comes in a week or 2. But these have been out for a while, I guess. They just got a reprint, and the reprint is new covers and sprayed edges. But I went and got them because I love sprayed edges, and I thought, might as well. Well, it's the Covenant series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this one is called Half-Blood. So here's the new cover. Jennifer L. Armentrout writes fantasy romance, spicy fantasy romance. So because this was the first one, I'll read the synopsis, but it sounds like it's gonna have a really, really good plot. So that's part of the reason why I picked it up. I have to have plot with my fantasy romance. Because like, you know, what if you don't like the romance? I mean, you gotta have something else. So here's the synopsis. 17-year-old Alex and her mother have spent years on the run from the Covenant, a school where the pure descendants of gods hone their powers, and half-mortal teens like Alex train to kill daemons for them. But when her mom is murdered by daemons and she has nobody else to turn to, Alex finds herself back at the Covenant, where she has 2 options: become a servant for the Pures or work twice as hard as everyone else to catch up in her training. The second option seems like an easy choice, but everything gets complicated when pure blood Aiden volunteers to be her personal trainer. Because not only is Aiden gorgeous, but he also understands Alex in a way she's never experienced before. Unfortunately, relationships between Pures and Half-Bloods are strictly forbidden. But falling for Aiden isn't her biggest problem. As she learns the true reason her mother whisked her away from the Covenant and daemons close in on the school, she must fight to stay alive. Even if it's her fault, those around her are dropping dead. And I guess this also includes a prequel novella and bonus scenes. Gotta love the extra additions to this. But yeah, I'm excited to pick this series up. I love Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've only read her Blood and Ash series. I actually have one more to read in that one. I haven't read the spin-off series yet. That's on my list to read as well. But this one, this book is shorter than her Blood and Ash books. So, and it's more floppy than the other ones. So I don't know, I probably will be picking this up here soon. I'm very excited. The last book I have to show off, and it is just because I am super excited to start getting all of these for whenever I become a mom, so I can share these with my children. And it is the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone illustrated edition. So this is the first one I got. My sister actually went to Universal in March for spring break, and so she went to Harry Potter World and she picked this up for me, which was super, super nice of her. So this is the start of my Harry Potter Illustrated Edition collection. I think 5 are out right now, if not just 4, I think. So I'm hoping I can get maybe another one here within the next couple months, maybe one for my birthday and one for Christmas, so that way I can start getting these, because I mean they are kind of expensive, but they're sturdy, they're heavy, they're beautiful illustrations done by Jim Kay. So I'm just super excited to share this with my kids later on in life, just because I mean I want to read this story has like, it's got a dear place in my heart, and it is just so good, and I enjoyed growing up reading Harry Potter and then watching the movies, and I'm super excited that they came out with an illustrated version so that way I could read these with my kids later on one day, instead of, you know, reading the normal ones without any pictures. I think, you know, later on in life, I want them to read the straight up books, but to have the illustrated editions it's a dream ever since like they announced that they're gonna be doing that. So I'm super excited to have my collection started, and I just can't wait to get more. Well, everyone, those are all the books that I've recently got in the last several months. Thank you for tuning in. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below what your thoughts were. I would truly appreciate knowing. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and be good people.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you lost,